The Game Awards 2024. This is the time of year where we come together to celebrate the best of the best that gaming has to offer, as well as get first looks at what the future holds for gaming. Despite it being the Game Awards, I can't help but think that the majority of people tune in for the trailers and announcements part of the show. And I mean, the show is just shy of 4 hours long, so today I'm going to condense it down, talk about the stuff worth talking about this year, and maybe do a bit of a deep dive into the more stranger games that were shown, as well as follow up on the voting predictions I made a few weeks ago. Also, if I sound a bit off in this video, it is because I'm using a new microphone, and also I'm still a little sick, but the hope is that the quality of the mic might hide the sickness in my voice and hopefully not enhance it. We've got a lot to get through, so let's just get into it. We started off with a pre-show. I don't know if any other award show gives out awards before the actual show itself starts, but hey, the Game Awards is unique and it likes to do things their own way. I mean, they kept insisting that this pre-show part was part of the main show, but there was still like a little countdown timer in the corner there to know when the actual show started, so you're not really fooling anyone here. The first announcement of the night was for a new 2D Ninja Gaiden game, and it looked pretty cool. First award for the night was for Best Fighting Game. The lack of applause for when Multiverses was read out during the nominees was pretty funny. Tekken 8 took it out, which was not my pick, so I'm currently 0-1 for predictions. One More Move is a moving away simulator. This looks like it's meant to be a semi-cozy game, but I cannot think of anything more stressful to do than constantly move out of my house. Best VR game went to Batman Arkham Shadow. Nothing much to say about this one, I don't do VR at all, but I remembered that this game had some really awful marketing behind it. I also voted for it, so 1 out of 2. Dave the Diver got an announcement for a new DLC for the game. I haven't gotten around to playing this one yet, but I've heard nothing but good things, so maybe I'll pick this one up before Into the Jungle drops. Thick as Thieves. Nothing sells that your game is going to be immersive more than having the actual words scroll across the screen in bright bold lettering. I don't even remember what this game was about. Best esports game, unsurprisingly, goes to League of Legends. It's unsurprising because this feels like the only esport that hasn't had a major fall off over the past couple of years. Also unsurprisingly that the best esports athlete goes to Faker and best team going to T1. That's 3 for 3 out of me, so that puts me actually back up to 4 out of 5 votes correct. Nice. So they are actually making a game based off that really super whack Pac-Man episode of Secret Level, and I have the same feeling about this game as I did watching that episode of the show, and that is I don't know how I feel. On one hand, this is a bold new direction to take Pac-Man. On the other hand, I don't know how I feel about one of my all-time favorite childhood mascots being turned into some like weird eldritch horror being. I'm not gonna hide the disappointment that I was really kind of hoping for a Pac-Man World 2 remake announcement, but I guess we'll just take this. Games for Impact award went to Never. Or I never voted for this. 4 out of 6. Have we seriously not stopped doing the whole influencer playing a video game to advertise it thing? Tales from the Shire, it's a cozy game set in the Shire. I don't think I need to see an influencer playing it to convince me of it. I just want to see it, the game. This trailer for Stallcraft Operations looked really whack, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intrigued. There was a lot going on here, so I decided to look into it a bit more, but it turns out this is DLC for a free-to-play MMO that I'd never heard of. It got less interesting as I looked more into it. Oh, so we've got another trailer that has the fake people playing the games to sell them. I mean, the people aren't fake, but it just seems like whenever people do trailers where people are meant to be playing it and kind of a real-time enjoyment of it, it's oh, look at this group of friends playing this game and having fun together. And every time it just seems so exaggerated and never genuine. The Innovation and Accessibility Award went to Prince of Persia. I picked the wrong studio. I went with Outlaws. Whoops, 4 out of 7. Kiora doesn't look like much special. It pretty much just looks like Terraria. But this is coming from the devs of Core Keeper, which if you haven't played it is a very good survival game, which I highly recommend playing. Kiora is going to be releasing in early access, so if it's anything like Core Keeper, then it'll be a decent game on launch, but it'll eventually turn into a great one. Best family game goes to Astrobot. I love the little bot in this dude's suit pocket. That is so cute. I don't remember why I didn't vote for this. Whoops. 4 out of 8. The developers behind Sifu decided that a soccer game is what they want to do next. Rematch, it looks interesting. I hope this is kind of like what we're seeing is early days, because I just feel like is missing something. But I like the idea behind a soccer game where each player controls just one person on the field. Solasta 2 is a tactical RPG. That is all I wrote in my notes the first time I watched through this event. I had no feelings about this. The first Solasta game was generally well received for having a good combat system, but apparently it fell a little bit short on the story. So hopefully the devs have just taken their learnings and put it towards making a great sequel. And that's it for the pre-show, so let's get on to the main event. The first thing we have to talk about is Harrison Ford, and he showed up to announce and give out the award for Best Performance. There is no way that Harrison Ford has seen or even knows any of the nominees for this award, or even knows what an Xbox is. Best Performance went to Melina for Hellblade. Again, I don't think this was very surprising. Her performances as this character go into very personal and very vulnerable places. I did vote for this, so this puts me at a 5 out of 9. We got a trailer for the new Witcher game. I knew this game was coming, but it is nice to get confirmation that Ciri is going to be the new protagonist of the series going forward. Also, the game is being developed in Unreal Engine instead of Red Engine this time around. So hopefully that doesn't mean that the feel of the really tight gameplay from the third game is going to change too much. Hopefully they're able to keep that kind of essence of The Witcher, which was kind of what made the third game so good. Look, I don't think this game's coming out anytime soon. It's going to be late 2026 at the earliest. FromSoft is back with what looks to be a multiplayer-based Elden Ring game. As an avid disliker of Souls-like games, making it into a proper co-op experience like this makes this probably the most likely one that I'm going to actually try when it comes out. Alright, so we got this trailer with a bunch of high resolution kind of rendered cats, and I honestly thought that this was going to be an ad for a Samsung TV or something, because the trailer just gave off that kind of vibe. That's what I thought it was going to be until the title showed up, and I was like, oh, this is a game? And then I was like, what the fuck is this game? So I did a bit of digging. If we look at the Steam page for this game, the description of this game says it is quote unquote a cat open world with beautiful cats, hyper-realism, actions, cuddle, speed, islands, fashion, dreams, snow, robots, plants, all with and via cats. Fucking what? This gets weirder. The tags on this game are just everything. There is a part in the store page description that reads, a cat fantasy home of wonder, infinite fun, and imagination. Every leap, every bounce, every nuzzle is a faith of boundless joy. Who wrote this? It gets weirder because in the news section there are 2 posts, and one takes us to a pre-order page for an Apple Watch app, and the other takes us to the official Catly website, which just has a bunch of high-resolution 3D models of random clothing items and accessories and cats. I wouldn't be surprised if these were all AI generated. I mean, look at this handbag. Ignoring the fact for a second that the material looks like, wrinkled penis skin, notice the handbag straps on this handbag bleed into each other. But surely no human being would design clothing like this. Now, I'm not going to outright call this game a scam or not real, but the fact that the premise of this game is so vague, there is no kind of website or digital presence from the development studio team behind this game, no real gameplay. Hell, we don't even know what game engine this game is being developed on. This project is throwing up just red flags, and it shouldn't be on the users to look into if this game is real or not. It's on the developers to prove it, and on top of that, it is on the people from the Game Awards to vet a game like this, because I'm looking at this game and I don't see a game, I see the day before. Hopefully I'm wrong, and that there is an actual game here, and that the development team is just woefully incompetent at showing off what it was. But I can't ignore the signs here. Moving on, we got the Best Action Game Award, which was given to Black Myth Wukong, which puts me at a 5 out of 10. Got an untitled project from the Shadow of Colossus developers. Cool visuals, no idea what this game is supposed to be. I find it strange that developers can just announce things that have no name and no gameplay. Technically, this is one step behind what Catly showed, but at least this project has a developer and a development studio behind it that has actually made real video games before. Anyway, we're just gonna have to wait and see what Project Robot ends up being. Also, imagine working on this game and having your name just be buried in this absolute word soup at the end here. I can hit spacebar and pause this, and I still can't read the names here because it is just it's just so garbled. Like, what the hell? Outer Worlds 2. I'm pretty sure we already knew this game was coming out. I'm just kind of surprised that it actually has a 2025 release date when Obsidian's other game, Avowed, is also coming out in 2025. Stand by the fact that Obsidian generally make pretty good video games, and I'm hoping that this one really scratches that itch that the Fallout New Vegas fans have been kind of wanting from the studio. Oh god, here he is. It's Joseph Perez. He was actually pretty tame this time around, on the scale of Joseph Perez tame. I honestly can't imagine what it is like to work with this guy like every day. Like, is this his energy all of the time? The game he has to show us today is Split Fiction, and this game looks really cool. There is no doubt in my mind that I'll be playing this. It Takes Two is an all-timer video game, and this looks like it is aiming to up the variety of the gameplay a lot more. Killing Floor 3 got a new trailer showing a lot more of everything. Seems like the core gameplay is getting a much bigger overhaul than I initially thought. Gameplay wise, the gap between 2 and 3 seems to be going to be a bigger jump between 1 and 2. This could be a good thing or a bad thing. It'd really have to just be played to know if it's going to be for the better or not. Steel Hunters is a pretty bland name for such a cool looking game. Wargaming make pretty solidly designed multiplayer games that will then go on to be advertised on every second YouTube video for the rest of time. Black Frost, or The Long Dark 2. Look, I didn't play The Long Dark, mostly because I'd rather play survival games with friends, and this one has co-op, so neat. Randy Pitchford. I wish this man had nothing to do with the Borderlands franchise. Most days I can ignore the fact that this guy exists, but then he has to come on stage himself to show us Borderlands 4, and I'm reminded of his suspect USB drives, and then whatever strange thing happened between him and the original voice actor for Claptrap, as well as Randy's knack for like just arguing with random people on Twitter. Anywho, Borderlands 4. Sure looks like more Borderlands. I know there has been some like criticism leveled at the new characters looking a little bland, and I kind of get that, but I want to wait until I see what they can actually do before I kind of make up my mind on them. In the end though, was there any point in reserving a slot in the Game Awards show to drop this trailer? It was just more Borderlands. Did you guys see that in that announcement for the Final Fantasy character joining the Tekken 8 roster, that there was like a 72-hour early access period for that? That's kind of weird. Alright, so we're getting the first of what I'm going to be calling award dumps, where Jeff kind of takes the side stage and then just announces a bunch of awards. The first one was for most anticipated game, which went to GTA 6. No shit, 6 out of 11. Best multiplayer went to Helldivers 2. Hell yeah, 7 out of 12. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3. That puts me at 8 out of 13, let's go. Best art direction went to Metaphor Refantasio, which broke my streak, 8 out of 14. The next trailer we had was for Splitgate 2. So I actually have a question about this one. Like, was the first Splitgate actually popular enough to warrant a sequel? Like, this is a genuine question because the first game was just never on my radar and I don't actually know how popular this game was. Mecha Break, otherwise known as Sensory Overload, the game, is back from the Summer Games Fest to show us that there sure are a lot of things going on the screen. I feel like an old person when I look at this game, and because I think what is going on here is just too much for me. The guys at RGG finally got sick of porting Virtua Fighter into all of their games and just decided to make their own one. We also got a look at what is called Project Sentry, also by the Mad Lads at RGG, which makes at least 3 currently in development games by this studio. Project Sentry is an action fighting game set in 1915, but it doesn't look like it's going to be quite in the same vein as an action Yakuza game. The action looks like it plays much differently, and the game also looks a little more violent too. And maybe the reason that this doesn't have a proper name yet is maybe RGG are weighing up if they want to lump this in with a Like a Dragon franchise, or maybe just build out a whole new IP. This game is definitely on my radar just because RGG have been slaying it the last few years. They just make great video games. The award for Best Game Direction was awarded to Astrobot. Puts me at 9 out of 15. Oh wow, a new Turok game? Jesus, what year is this? Jokes aside, this looks fucking sweet. This is Saber Interactive's new project after just getting finished with Space Marine 2, and if the development team is going to make a hell yeah, let's kill some dinosaurs co-op game, then it should be these guys. Helldivers 2 announced a new faction to fight, and goddamn, I always forget how much fun this video game was, and I feel bad that I don't play it as much as I do. I have never played Warframe, and after watching this trailer, I have even less of a clue about what this game is meant to be than ever before. I have a feeling that not even the developers even know anymore. The award for Best Debut Indie goes to Balatro. There was never any doubt. Come on. 10 out of 16. Onimusha looks like another new samurai game to go along with all those other samurai games that seem to be coming out over the next couple of years. Supposedly this is a new entry in a string of games from the PS2 era. I had never heard of it, but my friend Fected was pretty stoked about this announcement, so good for him. So the Russo brothers showed up to promote the first Berserker Kazan. What do the Russo brothers have to do with this game, you may ask? Well, I don't think they have anything to do with this game, to be honest. As far as I know anyway, because they would have said so, right? The Russo brothers have an independent production company called Agbo. Technically independent, but 49% of it is owned by Nexon, who are publishing the first Berserker Kazan. Agbo made the trailer or worked with Nexon to make the trailer. Even the Game Awards tweet is hyper-specific and saying, have a look at the Russo brothers supervised trailer, which probably means they watched it once and then just signed off on it, and Nexon probably just wrote a check for them to do this pre-recorded appearance at the Game Awards. Some prestige behind it. Like anyone cares the Russo brothers are behind this game or look like they're behind this game. Arad, most likely a gacha rubbish game. Somehow it is set in the same universe as that hyper-violent action RPG that came before it, First Berserker. That connection alone is solely the reason that makes like anywhere near interesting what's going on there. Dying Light the Beast. Who names their main character Kyle? Actually, you know what? Never mind. That's some Kyle behavior right there. And would you look at that, it's time for another award dump. Best Action Adventure goes to Astrobot, 11 out of 17. Best RPG, Metaphor Read Fantasio, 12 out of 18. Content Creator went to Queso. I didn't pick this, but you know what, I didn't even know any of the creators, so I'll take the L on that one. Best Sports Game goes to EAFC 25. That put me at 13 out of 20, and I'm under the impression that none of the press actually played any of these games in this list, and like myself, voted for EAFC 25 just solely because of how funny it was that FIFA were trying to squeeze more money out of EA, and then they were just like, Lamau, fuck off, we can handle the team and player licensing ourselves, and you can just kick dirt. Best Sim and Strategy goes to Frostpunk 2, 14 out of 21, love to see it. Hey Jeff, just because you make fun of the fact that you gloss past the awards with the Muppets doesn't mean it's, okay to keep doing it. The Squid Game announced that it was going to be free to play to everyone and won't need a Netflix subscription to play like we initially thought. It is still mobile only though, and actually by the time this video comes out, it should be out. So maybe we'll give it a go. The award for Best Ongoing Game, presented by Snoop Dogg, went to Helldivers 2. Like, it must be so surreal to be handed a game award by the Snoop Dogg. Like, what the fuck? 15 out of 22, by the way. Stage Fright. You know what? Joseph Perez might not be happy that another studio just seems to be aping his style. This doesn't look nearly as fun as Split Fiction, but I do want to see more co-op story experiences like this in gaming, so it's on my radar. Ooh, so we're actually getting an action-adventure game based in the Game of Thrones universe, or at least that's what this trailer wants you to think. Not that it isn't an action-adventure game, but I think you need to set your expectations a little lower because this is a mobile game. It touts itself as an open world game, so maybe this will be something similar to like Genshin Impact, just hopefully without all the egregious microtransactions. I find it kind of weird that an action-adventure game is kind of one of the last genres the Game of Thrones IP has touched, and I get that it takes like a while to make a game like that, but it just feels like that's like potential has been sitting there for what, like 10 years, 15 years now? Screamer is a racing game with an anime aesthetic kind of going on. I'm loving the visuals of the trailer, and I'm getting Need for Speed Unbound vibes, just with a little bit less commitment to realistic graphics, which if done correctly will have me very interested. But it isn't coming out until 2026, so I'll probably just forget about it until they decide to show us more. The award for Best Adaptation went to Fallout. Well, it was always going to be either this or Arcane. I picked Arcane. And my guess as to why Arcane didn't win, maybe because of how late the episodes came out, and maybe a few people on the voting jury just never got around to like watching it. And look, even though I was fairly disappointed by the ending of Season 2 of Arcane, I still think I enjoyed it more than Fallout. But I am glad that a show that decided to make some like really big swings with its adaptation got rewarded for it. Den of Wolves has decided that they want to be the real Payday 3. If the music is anything to go by, then they're heading in the right direction. And while they haven't announced who's composing the music for this game, I have a feeling it may be exactly who we think it is, or at the very least he'll have a hand in it. Also, the Den of Wolves website is really cool and has some fun little minigame ARG thing going on, so if you want to know more about the game, then that's kind of like there. So I haven't really talked about the musical performances during the show. I don't really feel the need to. Like the 21 Pilots Arcane medley was great. The video game orchestra killed it again like they do every year. And Snoop Dogg was good also. But actually, while we're on the topic of Snoop Dogg, the entire time he was on stage doing his set, I had two things on my mind. The first is that this would be the perfect time for EA to announce like an Underground 2 remake. Could you imagine like in the middle of this performance, like the lights go dark and then like Riders on the Storm by the Doors starts playing and Underground 2 just like lights up on the screen behind Snoop? Like the whole internet would have just fucking exploded. The other thing I was thinking about while Snoop was on stage was that his microphone is really, really cool and I want it. Next award was for Best Score, which was presented by Khalid. For some reason, he is like really just eye-fucking the camera and I'm feeling really uncomfortable. This might have been the tipping point for me where I kind of just got sick of the mainstream celebrity guest appearances. And so like, I haven't been overly critical of the Game Awards show itself so far, because for the most part, I think the show was pretty good. But there are some things that I want to mention. So Jeff, if for some reason on the off chance that you manage to find your way to this video, I'm just going to address this part directly to you. The Game Awards is a very great event. Like, we know that you have passion for this industry and we see how much this event means to you. And that you are always striving to make it better every year. And that is why even when you make mistakes, we know that you and your team will take the criticism on board and try again next year. Mistakes can be forgiven if we know that you're going to keep on trying to make this better and that we know that you still have the passion to do it. So you do not need A-list Hollywood celebrities to legitimize what is already sealed as an iconic gaming event. People love this show because it celebrates the best in gaming in a way that works for the medium. And if you try too much to appeal to the people outside of that audience, you will start to alienate the audience that the show is for. Snoop Dogg was cool, but his performance at the Game Awards had nothing to do with gaming whatsoever. I mean, he does co-own a development studio with his son, but they weren't here to show anything. Snoop was just promoting his new album. And so when I see Khalid presenting the award for Best Score, I think to myself, like, wouldn't it mean much more to the winner of the award to be given this award by one of their peers? Similar to Best Performance given by Harrison Ford. And I mean, Harrison Ford is a beyond legendary actor, so that might be just a little different. The thing I'm getting at here is that to limit the mainstream Hollywood shit. Unless the celebrities have a reason to be here. You know, a little later on, Aaron Paul showed up, but he had a game to show off that he was a main character in. And in that trailer, we got more than a glimpse of like his performance in it, and I think that's okay. Someone who doesn't have anything to do with gaming, showing up to do nothing about gaming is just kind of whack in a gaming show. My other main gripe with this show is the award dump sections. And I went through and I looked, and so out of the 30 awards given out tonight, I'm pretty sure I counted 16 of them were given out during these award dump sections, which as a statistic sounds insane that just over half your awards get dropped during these sections. Now, the constant battle with this show is trying to find the perfect line between being able to give out all the awards, show off new and exciting games, and not having the show run for too long. And the balance this year was much better because award winners weren't being told to wrap it up after 10 seconds. I see the dilemma, because if you do a stage announcement for every award, then it risks the show going for 5+ hours. But if you limit the amount of awards given, then it risks narrowing down the scope of the industry recognition that this show is able to give. The only solution that I could think of is that, you know, a game like Balatro that wins Best Debut Indie on stage, but will also win Best Indie and Best Mobile Game in the award dump later on, then maybe announce this game would win these other awards while the winner has the stage. Which in all honesty isn't like a great solution to the problem, but I feel like it may be better so then the developers can use this time to also address the other awards that they won. But on the flip side, developers who were nominated for those other categories don't get their name shown anywhere, which would kind of suck, as well as having an award that they were up for just kind of given away in a blink and you'll miss it moment, although that already kind of does happen. Like I said, I see the dilemma that this show has, but I also don't think that the balance of actual award giving at the Game Awards is quite there yet. Alright, yeah, so best score went to Final Fantasy, 16 out of 24. Mafia Old Country got a trailer and I'm not feeling it. I like the setting, definitely feels like something fresh. I don't know about this one. Alright, so we've got the final award dump. Best indie game, like I said before, went to Balatro. Weird that this was a side award and not a main stage like the debut indie. I feel like this should have been reversed, seeing as Balatro won both anyway. 17 out of 25. Best mobile, so Balatro sweep. I didn't vote for it in this category because I thought the competition was a bit tougher, but you know what? I've been playing Balatro on my Steam Deck recently, and now not even being away from my computer can save me from my Balatro addiction. 17 out of 26. Best audio design went to Hellblade 2. 18 out of 27. The player's voice went to Black Myth Wukong. I didn't actually participate or predict the player's voice category because it wasn't out when I made the video, so I didn't count this one. Infinity Nikki got another trailer. This game is actually already out. This game is bizarre. This game is really strange. I'm gonna hold on to my thoughts for this one until my end of year gaming video. Google Play announced that they were going to have a client that is able to play mobile games on PC. The client is currently in beta, and it looks like not all apps are immediately compatible, but this very well could be a game changer, or at the very least it could make a lot of those Android emulators pretty scared. I gave it a quick go and it seems to work very well, so if Google Play can just, up the compatibility with a lot more apps, then this could be interesting. Dispatch. This was the game with Aaron Paul in it that I mentioned before. I actually really vibed with this one. It had some good humor, some fun performances, and a setting that seems like it could lead to interesting places. It is a narrative-led game that actually looks to have some game in it as well. This one is well and truly on my radar. Sam Lake appeared to give the award for Best Narrative. I loved the inner monologue bit that they did here. That was really, really funny. Best Narrative went to Metaphor Refantasio, 19 out of 28. You'd hope that an 80-hour plus RPG had a good storyline behind it. We got an announcement for an Okami sequel with the original game director. That is a pretty cool announcement. We got another trailer for Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is a game that I feel like has been coming out for about 10 years now. I'm going to take this late 2025 release date with a grain of salt. Intergalactic is the newest game from Naughty Dog, a futuristic sci-fi action-adventure game where we get to drive Porsche spaceships, wear Adidas shoes, and for some reason still use CDs with a Sony head unit. Yeah, fuck yeah, I love product placement in my video games. So is the goal of this game to go and murder Kamal Nanjiani? That's the gist of what I got from this. It's really too early to get hints of what this game is going to be, but a cinematic, story-rich third-person action game would be a safe bet, judging by the trailer and the people making the game. One thing I think it might be is it might be rhythm-based, based on the way that this sword blade kind of just looks like an audio visualizer, which I'm intrigued, but this probably isn't going to be coming out for at least another 2 years or so just wait and see how this goes. Alright, so we're almost at the end. One more award to give, and it is for Game of the Year. Then from Larian gave one hell of a speech before handing out the award. The gist of it being that the best games are the ones that are made with love, especially ones that become Game of the Year, and then essentially just went on to give the middle finger to the studios that, only make games for profit and, laid off their developers to soften their bottom line instead of focusing on making video games. And it was just hands down my favorite moment of the night. All of this is being said by a developer that not only won Game of the Year last year, but had their game sell over 10 million units. And he said this in a room full of executives that laid off thousands of developers this year. Like Phil Spencer, CEO of Xbox, is sitting in the front row, and while he wasn't mentioned by name, we know, and he knows, that he was pretty much told, you make the games industry suck. And that is fucking baller. Anywho, Game of the Year goes to Astrobot. I never doubted the quality of this game, even though I haven't played it. A PS5 is just too high of a price point for me to, play one very good video game. But I'm super happy for Team Asobi, and everyone who seems to have played this game absolutely loves it. I'm just gonna have to hope that there's a PC port in the future, or, a PS5 mysteriously shows up on my doorstep that I didn't pay for. Look, after the award was announced, there was some discourse on if Astrobot should have won Game of the Year over, Black Myth Wukong. And I feel like the only people who have any right to be upset over this choice are the people who actually played each and every one of the Game of the Year nominated games. I could have sworn I saw someone say like, Black Myth Wukong should have won. I've never even heard of Astrobot. And it's like, well then how the fuck would you even know if it's a better game or not? You know, Black Myth Wukong won the Player's Choice category, and then that means that it was the popular choice. Probably because it sold very well and a lot of more people have played that game. But number of sales and player count doesn't equate to quality. Like, not even I could say which game should have won, because of the 6 nominated games for Game of the Year, I've only played one, and that is Balatro. And, you know, of course I would have been absolutely stoked if that game won, because I love this game. I've played it and I've formed a connection to it. But I can't tell you that Balatro is better than the other 4 games in that one DLC, because I haven't played them. And I can't get mad that it didn't win, because for all I know, Astrobot could be much better. You know, Black Myth Wukong could be life-changing. Metaphor Refantasio, I definitely think I would like if I had time to play, you know, an 80-hour plus RPG, but I just don't have the time at the moment. Look, I think I've more than hammered in my point in by now. Like, play the games, then form an opinion. Don't form an opinion on the one game you played. So anyway, I didn't actually vote for Astrobot as Game of the Year, so my final voting score comes to 19 out of 29. Roughly 2/3 of my picks were correct overall, which I'm pretty happy about. I definitely overthought a lot of the ones that I got wrong, like Best Family Game and Best Mobile Game, but it probably also would have helped if I had played more of the games, like more of the nominated games. But there are just so many games out there. This year alone, I've played around 40 new video games, and that's not 40 different games this year. That is 40 games that were released in 2024. Only 5 out of my personal top 10 games that I played even got nominated for anything at the Game Awards this year. What were my top 10 games, you might be asking? Well, you're just gonna have to tune in to my end of year special video to find out. Self-promo aside, now that the Game Awards are all over and done with, I encourage you all to just go and play some video games. You know, go and try the game that beat your personal pick for that one category, or better yet, leave the Game Awards bubble and try an indie game or two. You know that game that's been on your Steam wishlist for way too long? Well, it's time to give it a go. It's time to stop arguing about who won and who shouldn't have won. We're here because we love video games, and you know what? Video games are meant to be played. And I think that there is no better way to celebrate video games than by playing games. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, then please leave it a like, and if you really liked it, then consider subscribing. I only have one video left for the year, and it will be a big one, where I will be taking a look at every game that I played this year. There will be giveaways, we'll celebrate the good, the bad, and the atrocious. It'll be a lot of fun. So expect that sometime between Christmas and New Year's. Before I go, I just want to give a special thanks to my YouTube members, Controlled Killer, Melodia, and Yellow. Thanks for your continued support and putting up with my whack upload schedule. If you want to check out some of my other videos, I'm sure something should be popping up on the screen right about now. I also have a free to enter community Discord as well as a Steam curator page. Links to everything below, and I will see you in a week or two.